Wouldn't it be cool if your Excel file automatically updated the report and charts based on data from a database or even a CSV file? In this video, I'll show you exactly how to do that. Let's start with this CSV file. It's got a fictional list of customer orders. We want to import this into an SQL Server database. But we're not going to stop there. We're going to show the data in an Excel file and create a chart from it. And then we're going to make a change to the CSV file and then get the Excel file to update automatically. Sounds pretty good, right? Let's get started. First, I'll open SSMS and create a new table on the database. I'll create a table with the columns from our CSV file. I'll run this and the table is created. Next, we'll import the CSV file. Rather than using the import wizard, I'll use a built-in command to SQL Server called bulk insert. This allows us to specify the file name and options for the file. We start with bulk insert, then specify our new table name. We specify the path to the file we want to import, which is our CSV file. Then we have with, then we specify the field terminator and the row terminator. I'll enter these values here, but I often need to change them if the import fails. I'll end the command. Now let's run it. It runs and it is successful. Let's select from the table. We can run this and see our results here. So we've got our data in the table. If you want a quick reference guide for many common SQL commands and features, and stop forgetting the syntax for SQL, you'll love the SQL cheat sheets I created. Get your copy at the link in the description. Let's create a new spreadsheet and create a nice little chart from this data. In Excel, go to the Data tab. Click Get Data, then From Database, then From SQL Server Database. You'll see this SQL Server database window, which asks for the server and the database. I don't know my server name off by heart, so I'll go back to SSMS and get it from there. Right-click on the connection and select Properties. The server name is shown here. I can select it and copy it, and then paste it back into the Excel window. For the database, enter the database name that you imported the data into. This is optional and you can select it in a later step if you like. Once you're ready, click OK. On the next window that appears, you can use your current credentials, which means Windows authentication, or enter a username and password. On this server, I'm using Windows authentication, so I'll leave this as the default and click Connect. You may get a message about encryption support. I saw this, so I'll click OK. After a few seconds, this navigator window will appear. It shows a list of tables on the left panel in your selected database. If you didn't enter a database, you'll see all of your databases and tables here. Click on the table you want to use for your chart, which was the new table we created. A preview will be shown. Then click Load at the bottom. After a moment, your data will be shown in the worksheet. It's shown in a coloured area, as this is a table in Excel. This makes it easier to work with the set of data. You can also see the Queries and Connections window on the right. Our data is now in Excel. Let's create a quick chart for it. Click inside the table and then go to the Insert tab. In the Charts section, select a type of chart. I'll use a simple column chart. You can adjust your chart as needed if the defaults don't work. We have a simple chart set up. Now it's time for a little magic. When we loaded our CSV data into our table, we used the bulk insert command. If we make a change to the CSV file, we want to insert the data again. We could run a delete statement to delete the data, then run bulk insert again. However, to make this a bit more repeatable, I'll create a stored procedure to do these tasks. Then we can just run the stored procedure whenever we change the CSV file. We create a new procedure called import CSV. I've got another video on creating a basic stored procedure in SQL Server, which you can watch if you want to know more. In this procedure, we'll delete all of the data from our table. Then we run the bulk insert statement to read the CSV file and insert the data into the table. This is all we need to do. We can run this statement and the procedure is created. Let's make a change to our CSV file and test this process. Alright, here's our CSV file. Let's add a new row to the file here. Also, we'll change a couple of the numbers in the existing rows here just to test how the process changes existing rows and new rows. Next, save the file. Let's update the data in the database. We can do this by running our stored procedure. We do this and after a moment it is complete. Let's check our Excel file. Our data still looks the same, but we can easily force the update by right-clicking on the table here and selecting Refresh. We can see that the table includes the new numbers and the new row, and our chart has also been updated. So this is pretty handy. When we updated the CSV file, we called a single stored procedure and then refreshed the data in the spreadsheet and everything was updated. Can we do this automatically? Yes, we can. We can create a scheduled job on SQL Server to run our stored procedure at certain intervals, such as every hour or every morning at 6 AM. To do this, go to SSMS and then expand the SQL Server agent. You'll only see this if you're on an SQL Server edition that is not the Express edition. Right-click on SQL Server Agent, then select New, then Job. You'll see this window where you can specify the details of the new job. First enter a name. Then click OK. The job will be created. We then need to add some steps. So in the Object Explorer, expand Jobs and find the job we just created. Right-click on it and select Properties. We'll add one step to this job, which will be to execute the stored procedure. Go to the steps and select New. In the Step Name field, enter a name such as Run Procedure. Select the database you want to run this on. In the Command section, enter the command to call the procedure, which will be exec import CSV. Then click OK. The step is now shown in the list. On the left panel, click on Schedule. If you get a prompt to change this step here, click OK. On the Schedules window, click New. Enter a name. You may want a name to describe how often the job runs. In this example, I'll just enter the name of Import Schedule. You can change many of the settings on this screen so that the job runs at the frequency you want. In this example, I'll run the job every hour. So I change the occurs to daily, then change this to occurs every, and the hour is already set to 1. You'll see a summary at the bottom of the screen. If you want a different schedule or to run at the same time every day or week, you can do that as well. Once you're done, click OK. You'll be back on the Job Properties screen. We're all done with this, so click OK. Now at every hour, the procedure will be run to refresh the data. I'll go and update the CSV to simulate the file being changed by another process. Now we wait. The hour has just ticked over. What do we do? All we need to do is go to our Excel file and refresh the data. We can click the Refresh button on the Data tab to do this, or right-click on the table like we did before. The table and chart are updated without changes to the CSV file. So with a combination of a stored procedure and a scheduled job, our database and Excel report are now updated automatically. It's quite flexible, so you can adjust this as you need. If you're interested in other features of SSMS, you can watch this video here, which is a tutorial of SSMS and many of its features. Thanks for watching.